Buenos días a todos. Good morning, everyone. I will talk in English. You have the translator, so I hope everyone understand me. My name is Marco Pires. I'm from Portugal, and I have my challenge here is try to go a little backwards, just to explain what Mark tells us. And for sure, Mark is one of the best guys in the world that explain. Thank you, Mark. You're welcome. And Mark knows, because in Portugal, when we have a big fire or some situation that we are not so comfortable, and Mark could say it, Fabius is the guy is supposed to be here, but he cannot, and I'm in his place, and I thank you for that. But we send an WhatsApp to Mark asking for some advices. And I think this is one point that in Europe, all of us need to learn and to share information and to try to go to the people that have more knowledge. We have a lot of experience, but experience, it's not the same that is knowledge. We have the opportunity to learn. Yes, we have a lot, we will see. I bring a lot of graphics and information to show to all, but I will not be so technical as Mark do. I will try to make a framework of why do we have this? And I think that's the key for all, that because we will understand what happens in Portugal, it could happen in Spain or in Italy or in Greece, and we must be alert and we must be prepared to understand. Because my background in school, it's sociology, so I like to look the problem not just with the technical view, but because this problem of fires have different levels in the different dimensions, and the sociology and the people, it's one of the most important on that. Okay, so in terms of vulnerability to wildfires, the current status, I will go to make a framework of what we have done in Portugal in the last 20 years, and I will try to explain a little bit to be better understandable why do we have Pedrógão, why do we have 15 and 16 of October and all that, because there's a past that I think it's need to explain to all to be understand. So what we have. In the first half of the century in Portugal, we have a different type of societies, and they work on the fields, and everything is different. We have the stock we have in the first half, so the growth of the agriculture and the forestry areas, because we have policies of reforestation, and because we need wood to do the builds. But in the second half, what happens in the societies, it's especially in the Portuguese case, it's the agricultural areas began to be reduced and do social changes because the rural exodus. So this is all turns about people, economy, policies. Why? Because if the people goes and the societies moves, where are the place where they have employed, where they have money? So, if the politicians do some policies that change the way that the economies turns, so the people go and try to fix all that circle. You understand? So in the second half, what we have here, and you can see on the top, it's the red one. It's the social areas, and we see the growth along the century. What we have a lot of shrubs and pastures growing, and in the second part of the century we have the eucalyptus plantations as well, because when we have some fire in 10 years, we have the same fires in the same places. So if you have pine trees, the pine trees normally spend 30 years to grow and to have money from that. So eucalyptus start to be, we start the plantations because in 10 years we can have the result, the economic impact of that. So this is why one of the most big issues of the problem. And here you can see in 73 we came from a different political situation. We have a dictatorial political regime, and then we increased the democracy. And that changed the policies. And the policies make societies change. And the change of society reflects on the forest. And that graphics represents what happens after this change on political aspects and create all that conditions that we have our forests. And usually in the past, when I was younger, if we have a fire that go directly to the village, for us that was an opportunity, because we have some agriculture fields and we know the fire will stop and we have the opportunity to win the fire. Now we know there are people in the village, the shrubs come into the windows. So now we have a different problem. And this is why you can see the photo that Marco put from Pedrógão. There are trees around 20 meters, pines around 20 meters. Do you imagine the size of the flames when the fire passed in a small road? The energy, the amount of energy that are released, it's huge. So this is something that we must be aware and try to prevent. So, but the fire regime can be motivated drastically by the ignition. We also, in the past, we don't have so many ignitions, and now we have a lot. In forward, we will see some slides with the information that I put some comparisons to be better understandable. So this is our forest. It's the last data that we have. We have eucalyptus, pine pinasters, and quercus saber. It's the almost, and in the south of the country we have the quercus and the macro proprieties, and there's no big fires. And when there's fires, it's grass fires, and the amount of energy, we can have the same weather conditions in the south of the country and in the north, but the fuel and the loads of fuel are different, and that it's a very different point, because in the same conditions, if we change the fuel model, we have different impacts. So we could learn from that. We need to change our how the forest and the grooves are now. So another question, regarding this graphic, in Portugal, the state doesn't have a big areas on its own properties. Almost are from people, from private, and this is very difficult, especially in the north, because they are micro propriety, they are very small areas, and that we know, and the people that are forest engineers, they know, if we need to have money to back money, have money return from the forest, we need to be large scale to have money return. So in Portuguese, we have just all the property is very small, and the return of the money is not enough to invest to protect. So people abandon it and don't care about, and the shrubs grow, and that's the problem that all we know. So in Portugal, we have more than 400,000 of owners and 177 registered forest producers organizations, and wasted unities, wasted lands, more than 1,000, and very diverse ownership structure. This is one of the big problems that we have. So Looking to these maps, what we see, we know that we are the zones where we are more susceptible and vulnerable. We know it, and they are represented in the first map. The second map, it's the priority parishes where we know we need to intervene, and in the black map, we see the burned areas. So we know where we will have the problems. We know everything, but we can't, at this moment, we don't have the tools and the knowledge enough to fix that problems. So the science is giving us, special to the people that are trying to do analysis and they are in the operational people, they give us tools that are very viable information. So the very high predict rate, and what we can see, it's 70% of the burned areas will be containing only in 30% of the areas most susceptible to fire. It means then 2.5 million of hectares, it will be contained on that areas. We know the places where we need to work and intervene the land. But as probably every countries or the most countries in the world, we have also this problem. We have suppression and we have prevention. In Portugal, in the last years, they are not walk hand to hand together, looking to the same goal. We have the prevention from one side, the forest services, and we have the suppression from the fire departments and the National Civil Protection Authority. So we spend a lot of money in trying to fix the suppression, and it's true. And why? Because it's more easy to show to the people, and especially for the politicians, to show we have a problem, we have resources, and we go allot that resources to the problem that we have. From one year to the other one, we can increase the crews, we can increase the number of the vehicles, but we cannot do that in forest world. We cannot remove all the eucalyptus or try to do a mosaic and try to intercalate different type of vegetations. This is generations to do this. We spend a lot of time to do and a lot of money. So here in prevention, we just spend around 18.5% in prevention, and the rest, you can see the table. And what we see in the last 17 or 18 years, it's the amount on suppression is growing and growing and growing. And what happens, what we can see, the facts, we have more problems and more problems and more problems. Because the fire now, because that changes in the fuel types and the flammability of them, the things are changing, and we are just trying to always put some more resources to fix the problem, and perhaps, and as we know, there's not the main solution. We need to be balanced this process. So, talking now a little bit more about the huge fires, the mega fires, what we have and what we see, in Portugal, we have one of the best firefighters, and they can suppress all the fires in the initial attack. More than 98%, we can stop them. The problem is in days that we don't have, because we have a lot of ignitions at the same time, and when we cannot go to all fires at the same time, because the resources have the limits, and now there's some fires that escape us, and those are 1%. 1% or 2% of them, and causes the worst problems that we have. So when the total daily occurs exceed 100 of the number of the very large fires, increases significantly. So when we have these kind of conditions with so many occurrences in the same day, that's the problem that we have. And there's no evidence, this is from Fernandes et al., it's a Portuguese researchers, and there's no evidence that the increasing levels of suppression resources decreases the duration of extremely large fires. Combined effects of meteorology, fuel, topography exceed the control capacity. So what we have here doesn't matter if I could call Graft and cool people from United States, and we can stop that kind of fires. And we should learn of that. And we must go and do things not to just try to suppress, but go backwards and understand we need to change our landscape. So this graphic, it's very important because we can see the changes in the along around 30 years, the first 15 years, and nowadays. So after I made the line between the years of 2000, and in the first part we have 6 years, burned area exceed 100,000. The probability of occurring one fire of that dimension, it is 30%. But in another period between 2000 and 2018, 11 years have burned areas exceed 100 hectares, and probably of the occurring it's 61%, 3 times more probability to have 300,000 of probability occurring. It's 16% of big fires with very large areas. In 2017, we have exceed all the records with more than 500,000 hectares. Here you can see. So what happens here? Mark told us, everyone perhaps here along the day will talk about that. Because the greenhouse effect, because the climate, the change of the weather changing, we know we go to a worst position that we are now. That's what we can see from the last years. They give us some advices, and this must be a wake-up call for all of us to try to do something in the future. And also, we have one problem. It is in the past we have the fire season, and we know it's July, August, and September. During that period, we know that we have to be more resources. We have to be all the people prepared. Nowadays, what happens? It's the fire season. It's growing, and as we all know, the fires in the first fires on the season, the vegetation is too much stressed, and we have a lot of problems in the first fires of the season. And this is it's a huge challenge for the people who have to decide and spend money in resources, because we need more people during more time. And in Portugal, we have the firefighter. The most of them are volunteers, and the volunteers in the summertime, they are in holidays, and we have more people available. And when this period becomes larger, we have still less resources. So we also know this graphic represents the wildfire by zone. In the north of the country, we have more problems, and we know that. And also in south, in Algarve, there is a specific zone. We'll see forward the areas that we have more problems. All that issues are identified. So we need to go further and understand what happens here. So as you can see in the north of the country, and why? because of the property, because of the rural exodus, because of the society changes, because of the growing of the groves and the shrubs. And in the north, we also have the orography. We have the mountains, and it's more difficult to fight those fires. Also, we can see in this graphic, it's very interesting that the fires, especially the big ones, the purple and the greens, they are increasing a lot in the last period. And this is another one, it's a new wake-up call for us, and we must pay attention to that values, to that data, because we should be prepared and try to do something to reduce. Here we have it's almost the same graphic, but we can see when we have the most big fires and the years in which the burning areas is higher, pardon, it's higher. It's the incident fires. It's in the grove increases, and why? Because the fires in grove and the forest fires release more energy and get us out of the capacity of extinguish the fires. So we also, I bring, and we have a lot of people, some experts go to Portugal, including most of people here have been in Portugal also, or go in the few days to try to help us. And we are so different, not very different, but we have some things that we really need to change. We have a lot of occurrences. So Mark Bengley was in Portugal, and he said there are 1,000 more than 1,000 fires for people that in France they are only 55, or in Greece or in Spain. Even Spain is the second, and it's 5 times bigger than Portugal, and they have 4 times more population. But the number of occurrences it's very smaller than in Portugal. Portugal, we really have to reduce. And this is, we know also, and we see forward, most of that ignitions starts because of human causes. So society problems. We need to educate, we need to do more advices and try to go further in this point as well. As you can see, we can assist to a decreasement, but we always are on top of the list. And this is very important and explain very well why we have so many problems. Also, this graphic brings the comparison between the small fires. We have a lot. The numbers are so huge, and the fires, the second graph, the red one, it's only shrubs and grove, because the agricola we also have a lot, and all this together we have ingredients enough to have very huge and large problems in forest fire in Portugal. And this is explain why do we have more fires and megafires in Portugal, and we must be alert to this situation in the future as well. So, as I told you before, 98% are human causes, the ignition. And this is a very huge problem for us, and we know that. And since 2007, we are doing some more campaigns in the media, trying to talk to everyone and emit some alerts and do everything to try to fix this problem. We are assisting a decreasement since 2003, it's true, but the numbers still very high. And we also need more investigation. In Portugal, we are in operational the operationals, they are very good. We go and we extinguish the fire, but after that, we don't have we are not used to make reports and explain. This fire here stops because there's a road. Here we do backfire. Here we extinguish with water. And that, because we don't do that, we don't learn so much as we should do with a lot of the occurrences we have. we need to improve our skills in research and investigation, and understand and make reports with more information to know and understand what happens in each big fire that we have. And also, in 40% the evidence it's insufficient, because also the researchers and the investigation police must do more job and have more things to improve. So, talking and using a little bit of Mark terms, the generations, what we do in Portugal, the things that almost countries do. We have the fires, we put some resources. The fires go bigger, we put more resources, and then more resources. And now we have the generation, we are watching the five generation fires, and we usually call everyone and bring everything. But this is not the solution. And what we're gonna do when we have the sixth generation fires, what we're gonna do? Probably we'll put more resources on that. That's not the way. That's not the way. That's the key. That's not the way. We must do, and we know. And in Portugal, unfortunately, that tragic incident in Pedrógão in 15 and 16 of October, we know, and we have learned, and we are trying to do, and we are really doing some things to fix this. And that's the next graphic represents what usually we have done, and Clubber Ross talks about that. When we have, in 2003, we have a lot of fires at Spain as well, and what we do? We change the forestry legislation. Good. 2005, we have another one. But that 2003 and 2005 were different. In 2003, we have thunderstorms with lightning, the dry thunderstorms, and we have big fires in Portugal. In 2005, it's the increasement of the occurrences make a lot of burned area. And what we do, the politicians and all the people try to implement some measures and create all the things that we have now. And after 2010, we have more fires. We try to do. We are always reacting, and we need to do something. We could not always running backward. We must go further and try to be try to identify the problems and go, not always running back. So, what we have, and we are here to make an overview of these challenges. We have the territorial planning fuels, and I have told you and explained what we have. We have landscape and fuel totally disorganized, the forest and the urban interface, and also the lack of investment in prevention and the propriety, all the things that I talk. And what this brings us to the social and economics dynamics, the process of the societies and how the things go with the lack of appreciation in the rural world, desertification of the interior, the lack of investment in the forest, agriculture, and livestock, all that dynamics of the primary sector, and 98% of the human causes. This is what we are trying to avoid and try to improve. The policies implemented, the legislation, all the administrative division bodies, and several competing structures, unifying strategy of prevention and combat. We are trying to do all of this, but until these days it's not enough. And all of this give us it's the way to the evolution of the fires that we have in Portugal. And also, we have one thing, it's the risk perception from people. And this is very important, because when people have low risk perception, they don't care about the problems. unfortunately, we have 2017 Pedrogo, but it's a really wake-up call for all of us that we need to do more and things more with more impacted. And we have now the programs of Safe Village, we have the programs Technical Vision and Technical vision of the problems. We are trying to improve our knowledge. We are doing all that we can to try to face the problems better. But these structural changes, we need time to more years, generation perhaps, and we are really we have people. The firefighters in Portugal almost are volunteer. One of the pathways, in my opinion, is try to put more people, more professional people, work on that to have better results as well. The volunteers are always important in every system of civil protection, but we also have to have people that spend all the day training and improving their capacities and their capabilities. And also, new dynamics of action, the implementation of analytical methodologies, the fire investigation. We need to put more machinery, bulldozers, and all that stuff's working, integrating the dynamics in prevention and surveillance, and reserve the regime fire and increase the technology. And that's the point of view from the operational people. We must analyze the fires. We must understand what's happening to us in Portugal. We need more formation, and we need to structure better the things where we are. So we need to implement and integrate strategy. And in Portugal, with the Agency for the Management Integrated of the Forest Fires, we are doing this job. I used to say in Portugal, I would like to have 100,000 hectares for year of burning area. But if 80% or 90% are prescribed burns and 10 or 20% are fires. This is because we must be concerned. That's what happens in Portugal. We can, in Portugal, because our weather and our type of vegetation, we know we always have fires. We know that, but we need to try to have the prescribed fires and know the wildfires. This is the main point, because if we try to remove, because we have so good firefighters and we go to initial attack and we suppress all the fires, and we have the deadlines, we have the big fires, and then we don't have, because if the weather window, it's good for us, we can suppress all the fires and suppress and suppress and suppress. And what we have? More loads of fuel, more loads of fuels. And 1 year, with the worst weather conditions, we have all the ingredients to have a disaster like 2017. And after that, because it burns so big areas, we don't have big fires usually, and we are in the capacity of to suppression. And then we spend more 3, 4, 5, 6, 17, 10, 12 years, and then we have the same problems in the same areas for each time. Probably that kind of speech you have heard, that kind of speech for all the world, and this is the point that we are trying now to change. So, to finalize, 4 areas: the society. We need to change the attitude and behavior of the people, and also try to invert that economic dynamics and social dynamics to bring people to the part of the country they are the desert now. And also training and qualification the various participants. That for the firefighters, we have a good background knowledge, but we need more. We need to come back to these forums and understand with people all over the world what happens and what they are doing to improve. And I think this is the way, and I would like to say thank you for the invitation to be here. I'm very, very, very happy to be here. And structural initiatives as well to prevent and combat, and also increase the resilience of territory. That are the 4 main points that I would like to say here. Sorry if you are I come here to talk more technically about the Portuguese fires, but Mark explained very well, and I think it's the best guy probably in the world to explain. And I think if I come here to say something, that Mark is the best one to explain with. And also we have a big problem. We don't have data in Portugal, the recording of data. It's very important to improve and to grow, because usually we go to the fire, we suppress the fire, and then we leave. And we don't learn with that. And we could spend more 15 or 100 years fighting the fires, and we will not learn if we don't see that perspective of knowledge and research. So thank you to all for listening to me. Thank you.